Welcome to Create Wealth Through Franchising. I'm your host, Kim Daly. Whether you're a CEO, a military vet, a real estate investor, or simply in career transition and ready to take ownership of your future, with each episode, you're going to learn valuable insights and hear inspiring stories from within the franchise industry. On that note, my guest stories are their own, and as a franchise consultant, I do not make personal brand endorsements or earnings claims, but I do educate, motivate, and inspire dreams. Now, on to the show. Welcome back to Kim Daly TV. Our special guest with us here today, her name is Andrea Martin. She is a franchisee of an amazing company that Kim Daly would love to be a client of, called Forever Young. Andrea, welcome to Kim Daly TV.
I'm so excited to be here and talk about the amazingness that it is Forever Young and everything we're doing.
I cannot wait because I think that this is a brand, it's sort of, here's a little pun. It's sort of like ageless and timeless, right? Because everybody wants to look better, feel better, right? I mean, no matter who you are, but certainly as you age 40, 50, older, you're like, trying to hold on to our youth. And you guys do it all. And so why don't you, before we talk about the company, we're more interested in learning your story and how you even came to the idea of wanting a franchise and then how you ended up at Forever Young.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And my background is a little bit unique, but probably similar to many people as well. We all have our own, pieces of the puzzle that led us to where we are today. My background, I'm a chemical engineer by background. I've been in oil and gas for close to 14 years, and I ran operations. So I've always been heavy in operations. Right out of college, I lived in pretty much in oil rigs in Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi, and it was a lot of really great hands-on, quick thinking. I enjoyed that. And really the main thing throughout this time that got me really tapping into entrepreneurship was that oil and gas is a commodity, which means it has good times and not so good times. That got me accustomed to thinking always of having a plan B. I'm a mother of two small kids, and I've always been the breadwinner. With that comes the responsibility of we rely a lot on what I'm bringing into the household. The lifestyle that we've created for our family is dependent on what I do for a living. And I always say during maternity leave time, when my mind can be creative, I realized that, okay, I have a second baby now. There's a lot of responsibility on my plate. How do I protect the roof over their heads, and how do I protect to make sure that they're taken care of? So I started a side hustle while I was in my corporate job, and I had a very important corporate job. I was running really big operations. So this was like a Saturday, Sunday, late night, early mornings. I was coaching and doing consulting work. And I realized I like this. I like the idea of creating something. I already work hard at everything I do. What happens if I do this for something that I own? So the side hustle became something a little bit bigger than I ever imagined. I eventually started looking at what else could I do in this entrepreneurship world. At the same time, my parents actually, later on in life, I come from a household of immigrants. So they've done a lot to get to where I'm at, and I'm doing a lot to ensure that my kids, are set up even for more success. They were looking at franchises. And as an oldest daughter and a very opinionated oldest daughter, they were giving me all these ideas that they had, companies they were speaking with, and I was just knocking them off the table. Like, that's a horrible idea. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And eventually they said, hey, we can't do this without your buy-in. We want to make sure, because eventually, hopefully this is something we could do together as a family. Are you interested in coming to learning more about this one company that we've been looking at? And I immediately jumped on it as a protector of my family. I'm going to come in with all the hard questions, and I will find what's wrong with this. I will be the one that saves you from a bad investment. And during that weekend, I fell in love with it. I was very connected to the mission of it. And I left that pretty much saying, there's no way you're doing this without me. So at that time, I grabbed my consulting business, went full time on that while I was working and developing and finding a location and getting Forever Young up and running in the Dallas area, which also meant uprooting my family from Oklahoma City. So within that weekend period, I spoke with my husband. I said, "We're moving from Oklahoma City. We're moving to Flower Mound. We're going to go build this while I continue to build my consulting business, and it's going to be amazing." And he always jokes and says he just trusts me blindly, which he did. And now actually he's working Forever Young with me. So he actually just recently transitioned into helping me here in the clinic.
Boom! Fire! Fireworks everywhere. What an amazing introduction to this amazing episode on Kim Daly TV. Do I find the best people in franchising to talk to? Oh my gosh, my heart is just like bursting out of my chest. There's so many things I could go back and say, but we're going to keep moving forward. But I do have to say this. I mean, from oil and gas to a med spa, it totally makes sense, right? Like, no. But what I love is just, I want to dig into what was it about this model? And you said this is a mission. So I want to hear about that. But what I really love is you said you were always heavy in operations and you were, strong in leading people. And look, that's what you're doing in franchisepreneurship. So that part is obvious to me, and I want to make it obvious to the listener. But let's dive in. Let's keep moving forward, and let's pick up right there with it was a mission. And what was it in that weekend you started exploring Forever Young that made you go, oh, wow, this is good compared to all the other franchises that you made your family say no to?
For me as an engineer, I love data. Data is super important, and what a beautiful way to guide a person into that ageless pathway, which is, hey, what is your blood telling us? What is your own body? What is your hair, your skin telling us about what's going on the inside? And at that time, I'll be fully transparent. I was personally going through a huge personal change. After having two kids back to back, I was losing hair faster than I could do anything with it. So I started in the world of hormone replacement, of hair PRP, a lot of the treatments that we do here. That is how I was introduced to this world to begin with. We are very busy, and a lot of the times we're taking care of a lot of people around us, that we put ourselves at the bottom of the list, not just women, but men as well. I see that even with my husband, when he's taking care of us, his own needs, his sleep goes down. And we just do that because we love the people around us. So we need someone like a Forever Young to help us go, how are we going to be efficient with keeping you healthy and keeping you at your best so you can be your best for those around you? I love the aesthetic side. But the internal side, there's nothing that can beat you feeling your best. You show up better for work. I see it with our patients, people getting promotions, people being able to keep up with their two jobs, which right now some people have to do that because they feeling like they have the energy for that. So when I met the founders and how they live the lifestyle, which is super important to me, I like to have people that practice what they preach, and how they instill that in there of, hey, you have to show up as your best as well when you're part of this brand. Well, that speaks to a high performer. I feel like immediately I'm like, you're challenging me to even be better. I think that's amazing. And do we get to help, people feel better and maybe uncover things that they didn't know? That just sparked a huge interest in me from the beginning. So I've seen us change people's lives, and I'm not saying I wasn't doing that in oil and gas. I feel like I did as well. Here, I'm just so much closer and seeing those results happening, right in front of my eyes, and that's just a huge passion of mine.
Hey, Daly Coach fans, if you're loving this episode, please do me a quick favor and leave me a 5-star rating and a short review. Your feedback fuels my growth and rankings and shows others that this podcast is valuable. Now, back to the show. So for those of you who are not aware of this brand Forever Young, this is you can set it up a little better, Andrea, but I think they call themselves like a vitality center. Yes. It's not just the external aesthetics part, it's the internal, as she said. And so they're using blood chemistry to figure out like what's going on in the body, not just to get you to like survive life, but to help you thrive in life. So why don't you jump off from there a little bit? Just tell a little bit. We don't have to sell Forever Young too much. We're more interested in your story. But just so we have the context of the data points, because I think people out there may be like, data for like Botox? So not necessarily for aesthetics, but the other side of the business.
Well, it really flips the mindset of being reactive to your health to being preventative. And what I love about that is, especially if they're listening to your podcast, no one listens to this with the hope of just staying the same, right? They're looking to level up in some sort of way. Whenever you look at blood work, and I like giving this example, let's say that you go to your primary care and you do blood work, they're going to give you ranges that are saying, hey, this is an acceptable range for a woman in her 30s, a woman in her 40s. That is just average of the average population. That's how those numbers are calculated. What we do is we tell you, hey, we know what research shows, and you don't want to be average. Where should you be in order for you to be optimal? And the best part about that is that we can track it when maybe you're starting to become out of that optimal range before it becomes an outlier that's actually affecting your way of living. I know we want to be around a long time for those around us, and what better way than to actually be have that extra care and attention to what is really potentially going to be an outlier in your area of, which a lot of times it surprises people, the low hanging fruit that we can find. And I think that's what separates us is the medical team. You have a full medical team at your disposal that's like overseeing you, and being able to provide things that are going to support you and feeling your best. A lot of people that come to us tell us, no one's explained blood work before to me. And these are people in their 40s, 50s. And that's a shame, because we shouldn't get to the point where we're in our 50s and our 60s and no one's actually dug deep into, hey, what is your thyroid panel saying? What are your hormones saying? Why did people will tell you, I feel like there's something off, but my primary care says I'm fine. And sure enough, yeah, you're fine, but we don't want to be fine. If we wanted to be fine, we would just be doing whatever we're doing every single day. We want to be the top. Let's act like that from the inside out.
Amazing. Okay, so that's what Forever Young is. So you mentioned that you left your job, so you continued doing your consulting work for some money coming in. You dove into this as a full-time owner operator, Andrea, or did you have a general manager in place? Is this model set up for that or no?
I'm a very hands-on leader, and I have been my whole career. I intended from the beginning to be a hands-on and act like the general manager of the location. I know that right now I can do everyone's jobs except the medical team because I'm not a medical provider. But just so I can understand what are the roadblocks that can really stop us from growing. If I can be in the weeds at the beginning, how can I help my team get out of them later on? So I'm really, that's my philosophy. I do think you can set up the right talent to help you run that from the beginning, but I did want to become an expert in what we did, to the extent that I could with the education that I have. And I love it. I like being in it. And I think my team respects that. And I can act as a backup when needed.
So if you're a full-time owner in your business, what does your day-to-day life look like? Like, are you actually in your clinic every day?
I do have an office set up here, which now I homeschool my kids 2 days a week. So there is a little bit of a balance there. 2 days a week, I am not here. Mondays and Wednesdays, the Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, I am here to the extent that I can. Sometimes not all day. That's becoming better over time. I was here, you know, all day, every day at the beginning, that's slowly dwindling down where we have the processes is flowing and, everything is kind of in a good place. But my day generally starts with our morning huddle where I'm walking through my team with what are the daily goals that we're setting up, where we are with our month to date, what are the challenges that we're facing, what did we learn from yesterday. We start every day with that. And then I have more of a focus on the operations side. I'm tracking our KPIs, making sure that the team has what they need. And I'm usually out of here by 2:30, which is when I have to go pick up my kids. Is a nice deadline I cannot miss, which is holding me accountable to that. And now I know how to run some things from my phone. I've set it up this way, but the team has got it. I'm here just to make sure that I can remove anything that they need to be removed. But when you hire the right people and you support them and you put career plans in place, they will show up for you tenfold. And that's what my team is doing right now.
Successful people always have successful habits, and that's what you're hearing. I mean, she's designed it, she's set up all the processes so that she can lead, and she's not in it at the ground floor anymore. Sounds like you started there, but by choice, because that's your personality type, and you wanted to be able to know that you could control it. And I think that's amazing. So you now have a little bit more balance to your life, and you mentioned that your husband is now joining you in the business. So what role is he playing?
He jokingly tells everyone he just got promoted janitor and maintenance man to front desk. So when he doesn't know how to answer something, he goes, "I'm sorry, I'm recently promoted, and I need to go get this question answered for you." But one of the most important jobs in I think in every business is the front desk, and I that first impression of someone walking in needs to set the standard for everyone. And I hear it all the time. I actually had someone tell me recently the only reason they came here is because they called all the locations in Flower Mound, but they liked how they were spoken to on the phone. They were laughing. It was lighthearted. They felt taken care of. And she said, "I'm a hard one. This is the only reason why I came here. And I wanted someone at the front where I'm not here that could provide that kind of service." And our goal as a couple has been from the beginning to find a way for everything to merge together. One of the things that I would say has been the hardest is having the patience for our plans to get to the point where they can merge together, but they're here. And he's okay with me being his boss is what he says. So, you guys are welcome to challenge him on that and call and see if you're okay working for your wife, but he's very open to that. And so yeah, front desk, calling the leads, making sure that people are booked, answering questions, and getting the resources needed. So he's learning a lot. He's surprised to everything that we've been doing. But it's cool because I have a personal story. He started testosterone replacement a year ago. At the same time, I was doing the same thing. And a lot of people are surprised to hear a guy in his mid 30s needing testosterone replacement, but his levels were very low. So it's even changed our relationship for the better. I speak to everyone if a couple that needs to be together that you guys are doing hormone replacement because it does make a difference.
So what happened to your parents? They're the ones who started this whole conversation. Are they just sitting back taking checks from the business and like laughing or what? What are they doing? Are they all in there like we're the role models for the average client?
They're loving it. They're super grateful. My mom, both of them, but I will tell you, my mom grew up in poverty, and we come from Peru. We're from South America. My mom was someone. Her story it should have its own book one day. What she has done to be able to get my sister and myself through college, not only that, but instill in us education. I'm forever grateful for that, and it's an honor, truthfully, and sometimes like that responsibility weighs heavy on me. I want this to be successful, not just for my family, for my kids, but for my parents. And they're supportive, right? If a Saturday we're both here, they're helping with the kids. What better job than just be a grandparent for the weekend? Well, we'll take care of this. But no, they're super grateful. And well, my dad and my mom, they do everything that we do, right? My dad was just calling me on the way here. He's like, "I want some more like PRP on my shoulder." Like, "I got you, Dad. We'll do that next week." But no, they're super happy. They're grateful. And they trust me, which is a huge confidence, I think, as a daughter, to have that trust from your parents. It's a lot of trust from everyone, from my husband, from my parents to run this. And I just think it's pushed me to be better.
But you got it, girl. You are so stinking powerful. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with you. We were neighbors. I'd be borrowing a cup of sugar like every day just to get a little bit off of you, girl. So, okay, so let's kind of take this to so we understand a day in the life. Now, you came in from oil and gas. You didn't know anything about aesthetics, I'm guessing, other than maybe if you had been a client before. Do you feel like you were adequately trained and supported by your franchisor? Like, would you say that they met or exceeded your expectations as, coming in as a first-time franchise owner?
I definitely think that from the beginning, there's so much information that comes with a business like this that it's impossible to download it in my brain day one. But they give you what you need to start day one. And this ongoing support is where they really showed up to fill in those gaps as we kept going. I've been really impressed because if you show up and do the work, really their response has been very, very positive. So when I pick up the phone, I call, I have a question, I get, text back from the founders immediately, from the corporate team immediately. The support is completely there. Also, I am from the firm mindset that I need to come to a conversation with some solutions that I've already considered myself. That comes from, in most of you that work in the corporate world probably understand you can't go to the CFO with just a problem. So what do you think is the solution for this? And I think there is, because when I started, it was still at the early stages of the franchise. I also wanted to pave the way with the franchise of, hey, there's an idea how we consider doing this. And I wanted to be part of that too. But the support has been great. A lot of studying on my own. I will say that too. I want to be able to learn things, not at the level that our medical director knows them, but I want to be knowledgeable. But what better things to learn that, this within this space? And I think part of franchising is, would you want to learn more about what you're doing every single day with the franchise and picking a subject that you actually are passionate about that doesn't feel like work? When I watch a YouTube over some peptides, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like, cool, now I understand this even better. I want to talk about this even more. So it really feels good, but the support has been awesome. They're very involved.
Hey, Daly Coach fans, if you're ready to begin your own journey to find the perfect franchise, please email me right now at inquire@kimdaly.tv. My services are totally free for you. That's inquire@kimdaly.tv. Now, back to the show. Like you mentioned, you came in at the early stages, so are your plans to just like dominate the Dallas market? What are your growth plans?
Dominate the world. Yeah, no, for sure. This is the first of three locations that I have plans on, and I don't foresee it really stopping there. Especially once you get the groove and the momentum you have, you understand what type of personnel you want to have. Really, the confidence really starts building into. Really, this feels endless. Actually, just when you start growing and making an impact, what I love is the talent within DFW that is now contacting me, interested in being part of what I'm doing. That just opens up so much opportunity. I foresee this being my long-term plan. The three locations is probably the phase one.
Amazing. You deserve that, though. I mean, there's a lot of business owners out there who aren't as capable in terms of creating an environment. So when I hear owners say, yeah, I built this thing like net where now people are coming to me asking me if I'm hiring. It's like it's easy when I'm listening to you talk to know exactly why that happens, right? Because abundance attracts abundance and you are just abundant everywhere in your energy, in your attitude, in your vision, in what you're willing to give. Owning a business is about serving and then receiving, right? Sowing seeds, planting seeds, and then reaping a harvest, right? So you've done the hard work, right? I love that expression. Just do the hard work. Is it really that hard? It was for yourself, so for those out there who are listening, I mean, I hope you're inspired by this, right? So Andrea, what advice on that note, what advice do you have for somebody who, is sitting on the sideline hearing this interview or stuck in their franchise and actually these are going to be two separate questions. One's a business coaching, but let's start with the person who's sitting on the sideline going, oh, I wish I could be her. What advice do you have for that person?
You mentioned the hard piece. I think it's choosing your hard, right? No matter what, every lane is going to have its own hard. Staying in your corporate job is going to have its own hard. Deciding to branch out is going to have its own hard. The question is not what are you losing in that process, but what do you hope to gain? And where do you see yourself at the end of the day? I actually met a career coach who he's been the CEO of multiple Fortune 500s. He's an incredible person. And he told me at the end of the day, Andrea, when you're in your dying bed, you think your kids are going to walk up to it and go, you are the best VP there's ever been in that company? Or what do you think they're going to say about you? Because I was really stuck on, if I leave my corporate job, I'm on the seat to be promoted to this next level and in the leadership team. I worked so hard because my goal was to become a VP and go into the C-suite. Am I ready to give that up? And the question is, what am I giving up in that process? I was so attached to that title, so attached to the 14 years that had led up to it. I'm sure in the call there's people that have even more years that have invested in their career. At the end of the day, what are we really giving up if you were to step outside of that? And what are you actually able to gain with your family, with your health, regardless if it's a forever young or not. With your health is probably one of the biggest things. You see people that are all of a sudden, are in the hospital for heart attacks because of the stress that they live every day. So I think choosing your heart is going to be the first question that I would ask. What kind of heart do you want? But what would you hope to gain? And what do you want your life to look like at the end of the road? Would you want to leave a legacy for your kids? Because you can't leave your corporate job for your kids. And so what is that? And I think all of us will have different answers, and what we value is going to be different. But if the biggest fear is the fear of failure, then I would ask, what would happen if you failed? Let's walk through that scenario. Actually lay it out. Okay, let's say you make the investment. Let's say that it fails. Okay, what happens after that? Okay, how do you prevent it from failing? Because you didn't get to this point by accepting failure. So you already scratched the worst case scenario. Now let's go to the next scenario and the best case scenario, and then figure out how you need to show up in order to make that happen. And sometimes it does come with, who do you need to become, regardless of your age, in order to make that decision, and actually laying that out too. Who is that Kim or Andrea that makes that business grow, and how does she show up every day? What am I not doing right now to be her? If you focus on becoming that, I think a lot of those decisions become easier too.
Oh my gosh, girl, you are so gold. You need to be a business coach. So I 1,000% agree with everything you said. I love the end of that. It is always about personal growth before it's financial gain. Always, always, always saying yes to owning a business is the biggest yes you'll ever make to your own personal development. That was amazing. So the last question, I promise, because I've kept you way over time today, but I could just listen to you talk forever. It's so inspiring. So for the listener out there who owns a business, who's maybe struggling, what do you see in your success road here on your journey? Like, what do you think are some of the key things that have helped you grow and be successful? Like, maybe other owners in your particular business who aren't as successful as you have been. And it's kind of easier. I know it's hard to say this, and I don't mean it meanly, but it's easy to see it sometimes when you're in a different place, right? Maybe what they're saying is causing their demise versus what you kind of know from your place, which is why I always say that when you're validating a franchise system, you learn more by talking to the top performers than you do when you say, hey, I want to meet somebody who's struggling. I'm always like, why? If they really knew why they were struggling, wouldn't they fix it? So when you find the top performing people and they've mastered the model, they not only can tell you how they've mastered it, but because they know what drives their success, they equally know why people in their business will not be successful. So I just want to hear what you would say, like, for inspirational words to someone who's owning a business, but not quite where they want to be right now.
Well, so there's so many things on that spectrum, but one of the things that really stands out to me is your mental toughness. That's going to be number one, is how do you prepare the most important muscle for you to be able to show up every day to make decisions that are going to drive success. I know I'm a big fan of motivational speakers that yell at me. That's my style. Like, I wake up and I'm like, okay, I need to listen to David Goggins because I'm not feeling like showing up today. But what are you listening to? Are you just waking up every day and then going and putting in the sad news story first and just being like, what's the point of even trying? Everything is horrible. Or are you saying, how am I going to show up? Because there's people that depend on you. And honestly, when you're a business owner, there's a responsibility attached to the people that have entrusted their families to you as well. And I don't take that lightly. I want them to know they're part of something solid, because that's how I would want to feel if I worked for someone, is that, oh, wow, no, this place is solid. Regardless of what's happening, she's going to think of a solution for us to be successful. That's one thing. The other thing, too, is that there's so many wins along the way that look like failures that we have to rewrite what they are. An example would be we've never encountered this issue before. And let's say that we fumble through that. We go, well, yeah, we never would have encountered that if our schedule wasn't busy. You're right. So the fact that we've encountered this issue means that we're getting ahead. So instead of wobbling and be like, oh, why are we failing on this? Let's figure it out, because guess what? We're going to be busier than this. I always look for what are the wins in the situations, because we wouldn't be facing new obstacles, kind of like Super Mario, right? You wouldn't be facing a bigger castle if you actually weren't actually moving through the video game. So instead of being like, why is this harder?
Good
We'll be
mom.
like, well, because you went further. So that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And having your own board of directors. I'm very, very big on having people that have the similar mindset as you, that are going to let you, and I tell people all the time, you're allowed to have your pity for 5 minutes. Go where if you need me to, we'll call it that. We'll go into another room. You'll have your pity corner, but then let's move into solution focused. You got it out of your system. Okay, what are we going to do about it? And what can you control? Whenever there's something going on here, and I feel like that's not how I would have wanted it to go down, I go, okay, what can I control now? And let me focus on that. And if it's a process, if it's something where I didn't show up, I will take accountability, which is really big for me. Also, or help the team member get the feedback that they need. But you have to be willing to see those things and how you spend your time. I'm probably going to quote Carlton, one of the founders, but if you're not where you want to be, but you're distracted by other things, then who is who at the end is accountable here? If you don't have the people through the door that you want to see, but you're also, let's say, not running events, but you say you're really busy, but how can you be busy if you don't have the people coming through the door? So where is your energy being focused is really big, and also keeping yourself accountable to that. You have to be able to look internally and go, where is my energy going every day, and does it add value? My first question is, does it add value to my faith? Does it add value to my marriage? And does it add value to my kids? And if it doesn't, in any sort of way, I remove it. I'm very structured with my schedule. I'm very structured with what I do. I live a very simple life with simple things, because I know what I want later on in life. One day I'll be in a porch, hanging out with my husband doing nothing. Right now is not the time.
Yeah. But you know what? I love the expression that happiness isn't like a destination, like, or happiness isn't, what's the expression I
It's a
happiness
journey.
isn't the way, happiness isn't the way, or yeah, the way is like you have to be happy along the way. Like there's nothing about anything you're saying that gives me any feeling that you like begrudge this like hard work that you're doing. Like you are enjoying the moment that you're in because you're building something of value that you believe in, that your family is working in, that's setting everybody up. So it's not just like getting to that mountaintop and then being like, oh, we've arrived. Because probably when you get there, the mountaintop's going to move. You're going to now want the next one. There's joy all along the journey as you get to that mountaintop, right? So it's not suspending the happiness for today for some tomorrow. It's being
No.
present and enjoying what you're doing all along the way, knowing it's building to something amazing. But like I said, when you get there, your personality, we're going to go to the next place.
That's so true though. And incorporating the things you do, the people you love in it. I mean, there's nothing that makes me happier than spending a Sunday afternoon with my kids, with each with a wipe, and then helping me wipe down doors and cleaning the windows. To me, those are life lessons that they'll never be able to get in a different way. And I want them to know what hard work is. So my cleaning crew is my family. So I put them to work.
That's
There's
amazing.
snacks and food available though. It's very safe.
Bribes.
Yeah.
You're anybody who says they never bribe their children, never had children. Like
Yes.
you, Andrea, you are so amazing. We are so simpatico as two girls. Like I absolutely am thrilled to meet you and share your story
Thank
on
you.
Kim Daly TV. Thank you so much for being our special guest, and really thank you for demonstrating that success in a franchise, like anything in life, is 80% mindset and only 20% strategy. That of anything is what I want to be the takeaway from this video. You heard her, you hear the passion, the conviction, how she spins the negative to the positive, not staying focused on the obstacle, looking for the opportunity, but not also just not sweeping it under the rug. I love that you acknowledge, right? Like we're going to give you a 10-minute pity party and then we got to move on because there's things to be accomplished, and that's, you can't get to abundance from scarcity. You can't stand where things are not working and be focused there if you want to get to a new place, right? The problem and the solution are on two different ends of the stick, and you can't get to one from the other. So you got to move. That was so clear and so obvious, just demonstrated by your words, your passion. I mean, I'm so appreciative to know you. Thank you so much.
Well, you said that beautifully. So that was you're amazing. So I'm just listening to you. I'm like, yeah, that's amazing.
This is really good. For those who are not inspired by this conversation, well, then you shouldn't be my listeners. I'm just kidding. For those who are inspired to begin your own journey, to find your own freedom, your own passion, build your own legacy for your family, you know that I want to be your daily coach. Please follow the email on the screen right now or reach directly out to inquire@kimdaly.tv. That's inquire@kimdaly.tv. And until next time, my name is Kim Daly, and I want to be your daily coach. You can find more content just like this on my YouTube channel at kimdaly.tv. And if you're inspired to take the next step to explore franchises matched to you, please email me right now at inquire@kimdaly.tv. That's inquire@kimdaly.tv.